Is going to rage now. Should there be a rematch? Because in all likelihood, it's going to come up LSU, Alabama, and Oklahoma State is going to be left out, despite what Coach Gundy said after his victory over Oklahoma. But you know, I want to make a point about rematches. Remember the Giants and the Patriots a few years ago? That wasn't too bad a rematch in the Super Bowl. Huh? How about Rocky Balboa and Apollo Creed? Rocky 2? That wasn't too bad.
That was great. How about Michigan State, Wisconsin this year in the Big Ten Championship? Sometimes the rematches are exciting. Mike Gundy's excited. He should be. I mean, be able to knock off Oklahoma, first time since '02. It's a huge celebration in Stillwater, but they lost in Ames, Iowa. You know, I mean, when you're breaking down the teams and you're looking at what the resumes look at, you might be able to make a pretty strong argument for Oklahoma State. At the end of the day, you do the eyeball test for me. And to me, the top two teams in the country, without a doubt, are LSU and Alabama.
I want to say one thing about the Oklahoma State setback. It was during very difficult circumstances. They had to play the day that they learned that the women's basketball coach had tragically died in an airplane crash. I do want to point that out in defense of that loss at Iowa State.
Absolutely. And that's something that maybe the voters will take into consideration. But even despite that, Brent, we've been watching these teams play now for 12 games. And Oklahoma State has been outstanding offensively all year. Brandon Whedon and Justin Blackman, Joseph Randall. But their defense, they've given up yards, but they rely on turnovers. It's just really what you think is great football. I happen to think LSU and Alabama, that's great football. And, you know, their defenses are dominating, and that's why they're the top two teams in the country.
The one thing that is hard for me to get past is the fact that Alabama sat on their couches today and got into the championship game, and LSU, ranked #1, had to play their way in effect, by going up against Georgia for a conference championship. So there's no question the debate is going to rage about this. But I do want to say I really agree with Herbie about one thing. I honestly think the two best teams in the country right now are LSU and Alabama. I know no touchdowns were scored.
They
tied 6. Yeah, they will have some touchdowns.
I really think it's going to be a different game. People got excited. They like to have fun. It was 6-6 in regulation. You have over a month to prepare. It's going to allow both defenses to get ready, but also both offensive coordinators to learn from what they did in the first game and how they can do it differently in the second game. It's going to be. We have a lot of time to break down the X's and O's, but I think people will be surprised by the way that game unfolds.
Oh, yes, it's the BCS. The argument is just beginning, folks.
Of course.
Enough. I mean,